Hi, RHET 351. I know we're not having class tonight on Monday, so I wanted to walk you through a few of the things we would have done in class. Obviously, this is no substitute. Obviously, in class, we would have done a lot of this interactively by talking to each other and things like that, which after we got on such a great start on Wednesday, I know would have gone really well. Instead, you're going to have to listen to me talking to you a little bit. I'm not sure how long it's going to go, but think of it as a comparison to the hour and 15 minutes you would have spent in class. Okay, I want to talk about three things essentially. First, we have to talk a little bit about rhetoric, what it is. Second, we have to talk a little bit about our technology in class, WordPress and Twitter. Third, we have to talk a little about your first essay assignment. Again, I'll try to not take forever. Okay, you read my first post, What is a Rhetorical Analysis? You watched this little video down here, and you heard me in the video maybe say briefly that I define rhetoric as the art of effective communication. And often people will be a little more specific. They'll say, well, rhetoric is the art of persuasion. I'm being a little bit broader than that on purpose because I think that in some situations when the word persuasion doesn't quite seem to work, we can still judge what choices people made, how effective those choices were, how well they worked. So hopefully this very, very simple intro to rhetorical analysis has grounded you a little. If you haven't watched it yet, I think it's important that you do. So after that, hopefully you read this Herrick piece. Now, I know it's long. I know there's a lot of stuff in it. In class, we would have gotten into it a little more interactively. Let me just show you what I think are probably the three most important things in here, the things that will help you the most as we go forward. I'm going to scroll, to page 7 first for his definition of rhetoric. Now, he talks about rhetoric as the systematic study and intentional practice of effective symbolic expression. Now, he's doing kind of a similar thing as I am. He's not happy with this idea that rhetoric always has to do with persuasion, which is what you'll hear a lot of times in kind of a more simplistic class, a more simplistic definition. His definition focuses still on the effectiveness of symbolic expression. He just means symbolic expression by anything that people create that means something else. So if I make art or music or clothing or paint or talking or writing, all that stuff can be a kind of symbolic expression. So he's saying essentially we're talking about the systematic study, the analysis side, and the intentional practice, the making side, the composition side, the writing side of people effectively doing stuff. I like it. It's a good definition. I tend to say the art of effective communication because it's just a little bit simpler. But it's interesting here to think about how do different people approach what you now know of as a long-standing tradition, right? Rhetoric has been around since Plato used the word for the first time in 350 BC or something like that, as you can see in this piece. So we're part of a much larger historical tradition here, but now in this class we're applying that to new situations. That's the other reason I like this piece so much, is that he shows a lot of the different ways people have applied the ancient art of rhetoric. Two more things in this piece. On page 11, I love this section about rhetoric being responsive. This idea that how to describe this? That rhetorical communication. Let's talk about writing, for instance. When writing is effective, when people read it and they're like, "Wow, that is changing the world. That's changing my life. That actually has something to say about something. It's not just some piece of crap that no one wants to read." Often, the things he talks about here in this rhetoric is responsive section is present. In other words, we find that rhetoric that actually is actually responding to a real problem that real people have in the world is that's what makes it valuable. That's what makes it worth studying in the first place. And that's why I also really like this part on page 16, the social functions of the art of rhetoric. Again, for this video, I'm not going to get into it, but I love all 6 of these ideas he brings up here, these 6 social functions, because they defend this class, they defend the study of rhetoric, and they talk about why this stuff even matters. So if you're like, look, I'm just taking this class, what do I care? What I like about these 2 things I just pointed out on page 11 and 16 is I think they can help you with your first essay, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this video. If you're going to be writing a rhetorical analysis of an article you find online. So what if you find an article and you can use some of these words? You can say, you know what, here is a piece where we're talking about how knowledge is shaped, or this is actually deep down, the enduring issue this is touching into is how communities are built. Or if we go back to page 11, we could say this is responding to a larger issue of blank. It gives you some words that you can use as you're analyzing stuff. Very, very smart to go there. Okay, I'm just going to have to leave it at that for right now about the big picture of the class. I'm going to turn to kind of part 2 and talk about a couple of other things here. Now, I've asked you to make a WordPress blog. One reason I ask you to use WordPress is because this site right here is on WordPress. So a lot of what I'm going to ask you to do, I can demonstrate just by using our own course site. So hopefully by now you created a site. You decided what in the world was going to go up here before the WordPress.com. You decided what the title of your site would be, this part that will go here. You've probably also made a few decisions about what your site will look like. What I'm going to do is hover over in the upper left here and click the dashboard, which you can always do if you're logged in. If you're not logged into your WordPress site, you won't see that appear, but if you are, it will. You have all these awesome options over here. Like down under appearance, you can choose themes. Hopefully you've played around with that. Again, this is something we would have done in class tonight. Once you go to themes, you can pick all of these different ways that your site might look. Now, I purposely chose one that looks kind of simple and clean and fresh for our class because I want that to reflect the attitude of how I want us to think about our class. Why don't you pick one that looks however you want? You can even type words up here like fun, and they'll give you, in this case, the 17 that they think are kind of fun. Make your blog look however you want. That doesn't matter at all to me. The purpose of the blog is that you're going to use this blog to turn in your work to me throughout the semester. Just in the same way that I have something to say to you, I write a new post. So for instance, under my home tab, here's a new post with the rhetorical analysis 1 assignment. Here's a post with the technology. You know, everything's in discrete posts with the newest on top. Yours will be the same way. Every time you want to turn something into me, you'll add a new post. There's 2 ways to do that. You can click this new post button up here if you're logged in. It'll ask what kind of post. You'll always choose text, and you can just write it right there. Bam, there's your post, done. Now, sometimes I don't like to do that because it's a little simplistic. I don't get a lot of options there. If I hit cancel on that, I like to hover over this, go to new, and then post. It's just a different way to get to the same thing. The difference is that then it brings me to a screen that looks like this. I get a few more options. I can choose the category of my post, the tags, a little bit more stuff surrounding it, a little more complicated, in I think a good way, menu bar. You can do however you want, but essentially anything you post here and hit publish, I'll be able to find. Notes in just a second on how I'll find it. But do make your site look however you want it to look. Make your choices here. Totally fine. That question of how you want to come across, how you want to look, is something I wanted to spend a little time in class tonight doing, both on WordPress and on your Twitter site. Every Twitter account, you have the option for an image up here, just like I do. And if you click on the name of any account, you also have the choice to change this text here. How do you want to identify yourself in the words that you send? Not just your image, but also the words. I think this question of how we make ourselves look online is one of the enduring questions that continues to get asked in online communication, which is, of course, a big focus of this class. When I was applying for this job at Rockford University, I had my same Twitter account I have now, and I had the same image that I have now. And it was very, very purposeful that I chose a picture that showed me smiling. I was like, you know what? I want people who don't even know me to think of me as someone who smiles. I wanted to give a link to some other work of mine so people could see that it was there. I wanted the background image of my Twitter to kind of be beautiful and kind of moody at the same time. It's like there's this pretty tree there, very, very cool, at least in my mind. So think about it. Think about on your WordPress site, on your Twitter account, how you want to come across. Now, the question of how in the world do you share that information with me? How do I know if you used a fake name who you are? Well, go to our Moodle site. It should look something like this. And right up here at the top, there's the student blog and Twitter accounts. Go ahead and click that. And that should take you to a site, a page. It's actually a Google Doc, if you're familiar with those, where you'll be able to write whatever it is you want to put there. You can say, like, this is my name, and this is my address to my site, this is my name, and this is my Twitter account. Got it? You'll just fill it in right there in that spot. Very, very easy. Okay, third, final thing. the newest post on our site, at least as of now, is the actual assignment to Rhetorical Analysis 1. Now, if you go to it, you might be like, oh my goodness, it's long. Yes, it's long. A lot of that, though, is me trying to predict possible questions. Me trying to think, well, wait, you might have a worry about some of the technology, so I'm showing you how to do it. You might have a worry about how to do this, so I'm showing you how. You might want some tips, so I gave you some tips. Here's the short version. I'm going to ask you to find an article through Twitter that you think is persuasive, and then you're going to write a rhetorical analysis essay on your blog analyzing the choices that the author made. So the short version, if you're following a lot of people, I'll go to home here because I'm logged in as the RHET 351 account, I think, and I would just start scrolling through and reading, do any of these sound like they might be persuasive, like it might be someone making an argument? Well, this sounds like it. Boycott debate is a symptom of the broader shift in American studies. Well, that doesn't sound like something that everyone would agree with, right? It sounds like maybe, maybe not. So I'll go ahead and click that. And if that's the one that I read and I'm like, ooh, this is actually a really good article, I want to analyze it. I want to analyze the choices that this author, Christopher Shea, made. My whole article for Rhetorical Analysis 1, the first essay in this class, will be an analysis of this piece, the choices that this author made as he was trying to convince us that the boycott debate is a symptom of the broader shift in American studies, right? Anything at all. I don't care what the topic is. What I do care about is that you find it through Twitter. The assignment sheet tells you how you're going to prove that to me, that it came from Twitter, and it gives you a lot more information about like what kinds of things to analyze, stuff like that. So your homework for Wednesday, which still stands, is one, to read a much shorter article from your book, The Social Media Reader, which remember is free online if you didn't catch that in class on Monday. On last Wednesday. But your other part related to your first essay is I want you to tweet links to 3 articles that you could analyze for Rhetorical Analysis 1. Now, I didn't mention it on here, but for us all to see them, you should use the hashtag RHET351. So let's go ahead and do that now with the one I just found. If I find this link and I'm like, ooh, this might be good, what you'll do is you'll log into Twitter. You'll say, here's one option for, I'll say RA1 for Rhetorical Analysis 1, for a RA1 essay. This piece on the boycott debate. I haven't even read it, so I don't even know exactly what that means. I'll post a link. I'll add the hashtag RHET351 so everyone can see it, and I'll tweet it. You do that 3 times, and you are officially have done your homework for Wednesday. Now, I've seen a couple other people have started working on this before I really got a chance to explain it. Sorry about that. But you do have to have links in them. If you did it earlier and you didn't include a link, then I need you to post 3 tweets that actually have links. What we're doing here is we're creating a database so that everyone can get the same, so everyone can get a lot of ideas for what they might tweet. So some people might say, I don't know what to write about for my first essay, and then you could go to the hashtag, maybe just go to the right bar over here and be like, oh wow, there are a lot of really good ideas that other people in the class have. Okay, I've talked for far too long. Again, sorry to take so much of your time, but I want to be as clear as possible on this snow day. Stay safe, and I will see you later. Bye.